Settle in. Today I've got some terrifying Reddit stories that made me sleep with the lights on. That honestly creeped me out. Drop a like and subscribe if you want more. Let's get into it. My girlfriend, 26 female, has been updating my phone while I sleep, and I finally checked what she actually installed. This one landed on r/relationship advice about 3 days ago from a throwaway account, and honestly, the title alone should tell you this is not going to be a normal story. OP goes by throwaway signal 091, and he opens with what sounds like a perfectly healthy relationship, but pay close attention to the small details here. So I, 28 male, have been with my girlfriend, 26 female, for about a year now. Things were great. Honestly, probably the best relationship I have ever been in. She was sweet, attentive, always seemed to know exactly what I needed. I want to get that out there before I say what I am about to say. A few weeks ago, my phone started dying way faster than normal. Like, I would charge it to full before bed and wake up at 60%. I also noticed my location sharing kept toggling itself on. I figured it was some bug after an iOS update and did not think much of it. Then one morning, she casually goes, "Oh, by the way, I ran your software update last night while you were sleeping. Your phone was being so slow." Something about the way she said it just sat wrong with me. I let it go for a few days, but it kept nagging at me. So I finally went into my app permissions and started scrolling. 3 apps I had never seen before, all running in the background. One of them was live streaming my microphone. My hands were shaking, but I kept going. I logged into one of the app dashboards for my laptop, and what I found made me sick. Months of GPS routes logged with timestamps, recorded phone calls going back almost to when we started dating, and then a folder labeled with my ex-girlfriend's name, full of screenshots of every single text I ever sent her, including messages from before my current girlfriend and I were even together. Let that sink in for a second. She had screenshots of his private conversations from before they were even a couple. He is lying next to someone who was collecting his data before he even knew she existed. And this is only where it starts. So OP has found the apps. He's seen the dashboard, but he hasn't gone all the way through it yet. What he finds next is where this story shifts from unsettling to something way worse. I spent the next 2 hours going through that dashboard, and I wish I could take it back. The GPS logs had my entire routine mapped. Gym at 6:15 a.m., coffee shop on Pine by 7, office at 7:42. Every single day for months, timestamps down to the second. The call recordings went back to almost the start of our relationship. I played one at random, a Tuesday call with my mom about Thanksgiving, and hearing my own voice played back from an app I never installed made me physically sick. But the folder on my ex is where I completely lost it. It wasn't just the screenshots. There were subfolders organized by date. Every text, every photo I ever sent her, sorted and cataloged like case files. Some of it was from before my girlfriend, 26 female, and I even met. She had to have been watching me before we got together. Then everything started clicking into place. Every time she casually asked, "Oh, how was that Thai place?" when I never told her where I went. Finishing my sentences about weekend plans I hadn't mentioned. Laughing at a joke I only told a coworker over the phone. That night I lay next to her and she draped her arm over me and whispered, "I love you." And I could see the notification light on my phone pulsing because the mic app was still active, still recording us. I didn't sleep. At 4 a.m., I texted my friend Marcus and told him I needed somewhere to crash. No details yet, just, I need out, and I need it fast. Her arm draped over him, whispering good night into the dark, while the app she put on his phone catches every word, every breath, every second of silence between them. That image is going to sit with you. OP is playing it smart here, though. No confrontation, no slip-ups. Just a quiet exit plan forming at 4 in the morning. But what happens when she realizes he's pulling away is a whole different problem. The next morning she leaves for work. In the second that front door closes, OP starts moving. I waited until I heard her car pull out of the driveway. Then I grabbed the duffel bag and started packing like my life depended on it. Clothes, laptop, chargers, documents. I changed my phone passcode right there in the bedroom. The whole time my hands were shaking, but my head was completely clear. It was this weird calm I've never felt before, like I was watching myself from outside my own body. I was at my friend Derek's place within an hour, sat on his couch, and just stared at the wall for a while. Around noon, my phone started going off. First text from her was normal. "Hey babe, want me to grab dinner on my way home?" Then an hour later, "Hello?" Then, "Are you okay? You're not at the apartment." Then it shifted. "Why is your passcode different?" That one hit me. She tried to get into my phone remotely and couldn't. After that, the texts came fast. "Baby, please just tell me what's going on. You're scaring me." Then, "I swear, if you're with someone else right now," then nothing for 2 hours. Then one single text at 9 p.m. "I know you saw the apps. We should talk about this like adults." No denial, no confusion, just acknowledgement, cold and clean. I screenshotted every single message, and that shift right there, sweet to desperate to ice cold in under 12 hours, tells you everything about who she really is underneath. Brother, the folder named after your ex is what's making my skin crawl. That's not jealousy, that's a whole intelligence operation. Please tell me you've backed up the evidence. The microphone streaming is a crime in most states. Full stop. This isn't a relationship advice situation anymore. This is a criminal matter. Lawyer up yesterday. What scares me most is the timeline. She had data from before you even started dating. She was monitoring you before you were together. That means the relationship itself might have been part of whatever this is. Yeah, that's the part I keep coming back to. We met at a mutual friend's party, but she was the one who approached me. She was the one who asked for my number. She suggested the first date the next day. At the time, I thought I was just lucky. Now I'm going back through everything and I can't tell what was real. I feel like I've been living inside something she built. OP confirmed in a later reply that he's already spoken with a lawyer. This is no longer just a Reddit post. 2 weeks of radio silence. No replies, no edits, nothing. Then OP came back with an update post, and honestly, this one reframes the entire story. I set up a camera in my apartment after I left, and I feel sick. So it has been about 2 weeks since I moved out. Before I left for good, I set up a small, discreet camera on my bookshelf, pointed at the main living area. I told myself I was being paranoid, but I needed to know. I finally checked the footage yesterday, and I wish I had not. She is in the apartment, using a key I never gave her. She walks in like she owns the place, sits down at my desk, and goes through my laptop for over 2 hours, opening files, checking browser history, reading through my photos one by one. But here's the part that made me feel physically ill. Before she leaves, she walks over to my bed and places the pillow back exactly how I leave it. She smooths the blankets crease by crease, tucks the corner in the way I do it. She is rehearsing normalcy, so I would never know she was there. I have watched this footage maybe 20 times now. Every single movement is calm and deliberate and practiced. This was not impulsive. She has done this before. Maybe dozens of times while I was at work or out with friends. I feel sick. That footage broke something open in the comments. The blanket smoothing is what got me. That is textbook obsessive surveillance behavior. She is not just invading his space, she is maintaining a controlled scene so she can keep doing it undetected. This person has absolutely done this dozens of times before. Genuinely need to know, how did she get a copy of your key? Did you ever leave your keys with her or unattended near her? I have gone over this 100 times and I have no answer. I never gave her a key. I never left mine anywhere long enough for her to copy it. That is honestly the part that scares me the most, because it means there is something I am still not seeing. No answer on the key, no explanation. Just the certainty that there is still something in this story he has not figured out yet. This is where everything OP built in the background finally comes together. I filed the police report that Friday. Brought everything, the app screenshots, the full dashboard log showing months of GPS tracking and recorded calls, the camera footage of her entering my apartment with a key I never gave her. The officer taking my statement stopped typing twice just to look at me. I got a temporary restraining order within the week. She was served at her workplace. I thought that would be the end of it. It wasn't. About 4 days later, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. No subject line, 1 paragraph. She said she only did it because she loved me more than I'd ever understand. She said one day I'd realize that nobody would ever care about me the way she did. That the tracking, the recordings, all of it. That was just how deeply she needed to know I was safe. I didn't reply. I changed every password on every account I own. Changed my locks. Got a new phone number. Moved to a completely different apartment across town that nobody from my old life knows about. I'm writing this from there right now. I think I'm okay, but every single night before I go to sleep, I open my phone settings, scroll through every installed app one by one, and check. I don't know when I'll stop doing that. Maybe I won't. The comments on this one were nothing but support. I'm literally sitting here at 2 a.m. and this post just made me go check my own phone. I'm so sorry, OP. Nobody should have to discover their relationship was a surveillance operation. And that is the thing that sits with me about this one. The person who whispered goodnight to you every single night was building a surveillance archive in parallel. Her warmth, her jokes, her I love you texts, all of it running right alongside an obsessive control system she never once let slip. Not a single crack in the mask until he checked his app permissions on a random Tuesday. So let me ask you, what would you have done? Think about that. But we are not done yet. The next story is just as unsettling. Let's get into it. My coworker, Keith, no one is around, and everyone thinks he's just being friendly. Posted to r/offmychest by Quiet Register Girl 3 days ago. Alright, so this next story. It's going to make you uncomfortable in a very specific way. Not because anything extreme happens right away, but because of how deliberately small it starts. And this is my first real job. I work at a hardware store chain. Been here about 4 months now. I actually liked it at first. The team seemed solid, the work was easy enough, and there's this one coworker everyone calls Dale. Late 50s, been at this store since before the registers went digital. That's literally how people describe him. The manager calls him the backbone of this place. Customers request him by name. Everyone loves Dale. When I started, he was the first person to show me where everything was. He'd squeeze my shoulder when he passed me in the aisle, put his hand on the small of my back to guide me through a doorway. I told myself it was generational. He's from a different era, whatever. Then 3 weeks ago, I was in the stockroom counting ceiling fan boxes. Clipboard in hand, just doing inventory. And I felt something warm and wet drag slowly across my bare elbow. I froze. Dale was standing right beside me, grinning like nothing happened. I yanked my arm back and he just laughed. "Relax, it's just skin." I stood there trying to process what had just happened, and then it hit me. He chose the one body part that sounds absurd to report. Say, "He licked my elbow," out loud. You become the joke, not the victim. I left that stockroom shaking, and I didn't tell a single person that night. And that right there is what got me about this post. It's not the act itself, it's the precision behind it. He picked the one thing she could never say out loud without someone cracking a smile. That is not an accident. That is not generational. That is calculated. And OP knew it too. She knew it standing right there in that stockroom. But knowing doesn't make it any easier to say out loud. And this story is just getting started. Now here's where the story shifts from a single incident into something way more deliberate. Because what OP describes next isn't one bad moment. It's a routine. Over the next 3 weeks, it happened 5 more times. Always when we were alone. Stockroom twice, loading dock once during a slow afternoon, and once in the break room right after the other person stepped out to grab something from their car. Always the same. His tongue dragging across my bare elbow, always followed by that flat laugh like I'm the one making it weird. I started wearing long sleeves, even though it was the middle of July and the store AC barely works. A coworker named Marissa noticed and pulled me aside. She asked if I was okay. I tried to tell her. I said Dale keeps licking my elbow, and I watched her face go from real concern to confusion to a barely hidden smile. Like, "Your elbow? Are you sure he's not just bumping into you?" I stopped talking after that. I went to the schedule board and tried swapping my shifts so I wouldn't overlap with Dale. But every time the new week posted, there we were. Same shifts, same section. I asked the manager about it, and he told me Dale specifically requests me as his stock partner. Called me a fast learner. Said it like I should feel honored that a senior employee wanted to work with me. That's when it clicked. The schedule, the requests, the fact that Dale always seems to know exactly when we'll be alone together. None of it is random. This whole setup is designed to keep me near him. I started keeping my phone voice memo app one tap away in my apron pocket after that. That moment with Marissa is what makes this one cut so deep. OP did exactly what you're supposed to do. She told someone. And the response wasn't disbelief, it was worse. It was a smile. The absurdity of the act became a shield for the person doing it. And the scheduling is the part you need to sit with, because that takes planning. You don't accidentally end up alone with the same teenager 5 times in 3 weeks on a busy retail floor. Someone engineered that access. And the manager, the one person with the power to notice the pattern, just kept handing her over because the guy who's been there 20 years called her a fast learner. What happens next took guts. Real guts. I finally told my dad. Sat him down and said it out loud for the first time, that Dale had been licking my elbow at work. He didn't yell, he didn't slam anything, he just went quiet. That kind of quiet where you can feel the anger compressing into something worse. After a long pause, he looked at me and said, "Get it on tape." So I did. I started every shift with my phone recording in my apron pocket. First shift with Dale, nothing. He kept his distance. Second shift, stockroom again, and there it was. I felt the wet drag across my skin, and I flinched so hard I almost knocked a box off the shelf. The audio caught everything. The sound, his laugh, my gasp. I played it for my dad that night and watched his face go white. He called the store's HR line the next morning before I was even awake. And then came the worst part, the waiting. I went into work the next day and Dale was right there, smiling, helpful, cracking jokes with the morning crew, everyone's favorite. I had to stand there and smile back knowing what was on my phone. I kept thinking about how the recording sounds. It sounds like nothing, a wet noise and a laugh. I was terrified someone in HR was going to listen to it and shrug. I ended my post saying I'd update when HR got back to me. The comment section on this one went exactly where you'd expect. I worked retail for 6 years, and the number of older men who test younger girls with harmless touching to see what they'll tolerate is genuinely horrifying. It's always a test run for something worse. That's exactly what it was. He started with shoulder squeezes my first week, and I smiled through it because I didn't want to be difficult at my first real job. Looking back, he was literally testing what I'd accept before he moved to the next thing. I hate that I smiled. I'm a 40-year-old man, and I have never once in my life licked a coworker's anything. Not even as a joke, not even close. There is no universe where this is friendly, and that audio clip is just sitting there, waiting for someone at HR to press play. And then OP came back. A few days later, she posted an update. I listened to my own recording again, and I feel sick. So HR called me in on Monday. They said they'd reviewed my recording and wanted to go over it with me in person. I sat in this little meeting room while they played the audio on a speaker. I heard the lick, that wet drag sound, then his laugh. I was bracing myself, thinking that was the worst part to sit through again. Then the HR woman hit pause and looked at me. She said, "Did you hear that? Right after the laugh." I didn't hear anything. She rewound it, played it again at higher volume, and then I heard it. Barely above a whisper, almost buried under his own exhale, Dale's voice saying my full home address, street number, street name, apartment unit, like he was just breathing it to himself. I never told Dale where I live. I have never told anyone at that store my address beyond the city name. My blood went completely cold. HR's whole demeanor shifted immediately. This wasn't a meeting about inappropriate workplace behavior anymore. They suspended him that same day. My dad has been driving me to and from work since Tuesday. I filed for a restraining order yesterday. I can't sleep. I just lie there replaying every single time we were alone in that stockroom, wondering what else he whispered that I didn't catch. What else is on recordings I never made? That single detail turned everything on its head, and the comment section knew it. "It's just skin," made my stomach drop. That's not something a normal person says. That's a line he's rehearsed. Exactly this. Normal people who accidentally make someone uncomfortable say, "Oh God, I'm sorry." They don't have a philosophical justification loaded and ready. That line exists because he said it before, to someone else. Please, please, please tell me you've told someone outside of work. A parent, a friend, anyone. You need a paper trail that exists outside that company's control. OP never responded to that one directly, but her dad was already in the picture by then, and things were about to get worse. OP came back a few weeks later with one final post. I listened to my own recording again and I feel sick. Dale is gone. Officially terminated 2 weeks ago. The restraining order is still being processed, but my lawyer says it should be finalized soon. My dad has been driving me to and from every single shift and walking me inside. I thought that would be the end of it, but last Tuesday my coworker Megan pulled me aside and told me she saw Dale's truck parked across the street from the store, engine off, just sitting there. She said it happened twice in the past week. I reported it to the police and they told me there is nothing they can do unless he violates the pending order or approaches me directly. So he can just sit there, watching, and that is apparently fine. I put in my 2 weeks yesterday. I am looking into remote work, data entry, anything. I cannot keep walking into that building knowing his truck might be outside. I want to thank everyone here who believed me. When I first posted, I was so scared someone would laugh at me for saying my coworker licked my elbow. But you didn't laugh. You saw it for what it was. The people in my real life did not believe me until there was audio proof. You believed me when all I had were words. Thank you. I probably will not be updating again. The account went quiet after that. HR is not your friend. HR protects the company. Document everything yourself. Dates, times, witnesses nearby even if they didn't see it. Screenshot schedules showing you were alone with him. This story sticks with me because of how calculated the whole thing was. He chose a body part that sounds like a joke. He weaponized absurdity as a shield. The elbow was never the point. Control was the point. If someone in your life is doing something that feels violating but sounds ridiculous when you say it out loud, that is not a coincidence. That is by design. But this next story, this one made me put my phone down for a while. My aunt babysat me every summer as a kid. I just found out what she was doing in the basement while I slept. This one was posted to r/offmychest 6 days ago by Throwaway Basement Kid. Before we get into it, this story starts somewhere safe, somewhere that feels like the best parts of being a kid. Just know that by the end of this post, all of that is going to be gone. OP opens the post already running out of nerve. I need to get this out before I lose my nerve. I spent every summer from ages 5 to 12 at my Aunt Carol's house. She lived in the middle of nowhere, dirt road, nearest neighbor a mile out, no cell service back then. And I loved it. I loved catching fireflies in her yard while she baked pie from scratch in the kitchen, falling asleep to the sound of crickets with the window cracked open. I felt safer in that house than anywhere else in my life. But Aunt Carol had 3 rules she never bent on. 1. Never go in the basement. 2. In bed by 8 p.m. sharp, no exceptions. 3. If someone knocks on the door after dark, do not answer it. Do not look out the window. You stay in bed and you stay quiet. As a kid, I never questioned any of it. She was the adult, and everything else about those summers was so good the rules just felt like a small price to pay. Fast forward to 3 weeks ago. Aunt Carol passed away. Heart attack, sudden, no warning. I drove out to help clean the house and go through her things. On the second day, standing alone in that hallway I hadn't walked in 15 years, I opened the basement door. A hospital bed with restraint straps, IV stands, surgical instruments laid out on a steel tray like someone had just stepped away. Dozens of logbooks, dated and organized by year. Every single entry lined up with the summers I stayed there. And mounted on the far wall, a small monitor showing a live camera feed of the upstairs guest bedroom. My bedroom. Still running. That camera feed was still live. 15 years after the last time she slept in that room, it was still watching an empty bed. And I need you to understand, everything she just told you is only what she found on day 1. There is so much more to this story. Alright, so remember where we left off. OP just opened the basement door at her dead aunt's house and found what looked like a medical facility. Camera still live, pointed right at the bedroom she slept in as a child. Now she goes deeper. The first thing I noticed was the walls. Foam paneling everywhere. The kind you see in recording studios. Soundproofing. The floor was bare concrete with 2 drains set into it, metal grates over each one. There was a hospital bed with restraint straps still attached to the rails, and beside it, a rolling cart with instruments I couldn't name but recognized from doctors' offices. Behind a heavy curtain at the back was a second, smaller space. Shelves lined the walls with labeled jars. Some dated back to the 1990s. I am not going to describe what was inside them. A chest freezer hummed in the corner. I stood in front of it for a full minute and could not bring myself to open it. On a desk sat logbooks, maybe 15 of them, stacked neatly. Times, dates, initials, clinical shorthand I didn't fully understand, but enough to know these were records of procedures performed on people. I stood there trying to connect this room to the woman who braided my hair and sang me to sleep every night. I couldn't make those two things fit in the same person. I called my cousin Danielle and told her everything. She went silent for maybe 30 seconds, then said, "I always wondered about that room." That hit harder than anything else down there. She wasn't the only one in the family who felt something was off about that house. And that realization, that other people sensed it too and nobody ever said a word, that is what broke her. OP started photographing everything before she called the police, but she has not gone through those logbooks closely yet. And when she does, what she finds written inside them is going to change how she understands every single summer she spent at that house. This is where the story shifts from unsettling to something that stays with you. I started going through the logbooks, page by page. They span decades. Some entries use initials. JR, male, late 40s. Others just descriptions. Female, early 20s, stranded motorist. Or male, mid-30s, hitchhiker. No real names for most of them. Just dates, clinical notes, and shorthand I still don't fully understand. But here is what made me set the book down and walk outside to be sick. The entries cluster. Every single one falls in summer. When I cross-reference the dates with my own memory, school breaks, the weeks my mom dropped me off, they line up perfectly. Every time I was at that house, something happened in that basement. I was the cover, a sweet niece visiting for the summer. Nothing suspicious about that, right? She didn't tuck me in at 8 p.m. because she was old-fashioned. She needed me asleep and out of the way. And the rule about never answering the door after dark. I always thought she was being protective. Now I know whoever knocked after dark wasn't there for me. They were there for her, or she was bringing them in. I slept 20 feet above whatever was happening and never heard a thing because that room was soundproofed. The comment section on this one hit different. The IV stands and surgical instruments combined with the logbook entries. This sounds like she was harvesting something. Organs, blood, tissue. The rural location, the isolation, the strict bedtime rules to keep you upstairs. This was methodical. The detective I spoke with used almost the exact same word, methodical. There was a chest freezer in the back corner I didn't mention in my post because I couldn't open it. They opened it. I wasn't in the room, but the officer who came to update me looked like he hadn't slept in days. He told me not to go back to the house under any circumstances. I grew up thinking the bedtime rule was because she was strict and old-fashioned. She needed me asleep and out of the way. Every summer. You were there every summer. And she kept doing it the entire time with a child sleeping one floor above. The fact that she could tuck you in and then walk downstairs to that room is beyond comprehension. OP came back a few days later with an update post. Police confirmed 3 of the names in the logbooks, and my mom still won't talk to me. I don't know how to say this, so I'm just going to say it. The police confirmed 3 names from the logbooks match missing persons cases in the county. 3 real people. 3 people who vanished during summers I was there. I've been cross-referencing dates on my own because I can't stop myself, and I found more potential matches. At least 5 line up with disappearances within a 60-mile radius. But that's not why I'm writing this. The last entry in the final logbook is dated August 2011, the last summer I stayed. I was 12. It's a full page dedicated to me, my full legal name, my blood type. She knew my blood type. Height, weight, detailed notes about my sleep patterns, how deeply I slept, how I responded to certain foods she made me. And at the bottom of the page, circled in red ink, 2 words, not yet. She was considering me. My aunt was considering me for whatever she did to those people in that basement. The only reason I'm typing this right now is that my parents stopped sending me after that summer. I called my mom. She hung up. Called again. She told me I was disrespecting Carol's memory, and if I kept talking, she'd never speak to me again. 3 confirmed victims, and my mother won't even hear it. That last detail is where it lands hardest. Not yet. Not never. Not yet. The camera feed of your bedroom is what got me. She was watching you sleep every single night while she was down there. That's not protective. That's predatory observation. Your mother's reaction is very common in cases like this. Denial is easier than accepting her sister was a monster. I'm so sorry you're carrying this alone. Textbook family systems protection. She's not defending the aunt. She's defending the version of reality where she sent her child somewhere safe every summer. If the aunt was a monster, then the mother unknowingly delivered her daughter to one. That's a truth most parents cannot survive. And that right there might be the worst part of all of this. Not the basement, not the logbooks. The fact that the people who were supposed to protect this girl, they still won't look at what almost happened to her. So here is where things stand with this one. There is no neat ending, no courtroom scene, no satisfying moment where the family rallies together and faces the truth. Just an open investigation and a trying to piece herself back together, one locked door at a time. OP came back a few days later with an update post. Police confirmed 3 of the names in the logbooks, and my mom still won't talk to me. The police have officially identified 3 individuals from the logbooks, 3 real people with real families who never came home. Multiple agencies are involved now, and they are still excavating parts of the property. I cannot say more about that. What I can talk about is my family. Half of them have stopped speaking to me. My uncle told me I should have left it alone and let Aunt Carol rest in peace. My own mother, the woman who dropped me off there every single summer, said I am disrespecting the dead. She told me if I keep cooperating with police, she is done with me. Done with me. I am in therapy 3 times a week now. I check every lock in my apartment before I get into bed. Then I check them all again. I do not sleep without the lights on. Some nights, I do not sleep at all. I do not want justice. I do not want revenge. I just want to stop hearing her voice when I close my eyes. Every single night, it is the same thing. Good night, sweetheart. That is what she said to me every summer, and now I know exactly what she did after she said it. That last line is the one that sits with you. Please tell me you have those logbooks in a safe location and not still in that house. This is active evidence in what sounds like multiple homicides. And that is what stays with me about stories like this. The people we trust the most have the most access. Childhood safety is sometimes just an illusion, one maintained by someone who had their own reasons for keeping you close and keeping you quiet. There is no resolution here, just an ongoing investigation and a woman slowly learning how to sleep again. We have got another story lined up next, and trust me, it hits just as hard. On to the next one. My girlfriend, 24 female, knows what I'm going to say before I say it, and I just found something in our apartment that I can't explain. This next one sat with me for a while. Posted 3 days ago on r/nosleep by Static Line Dan. And honestly, it starts quiet. That's what makes it work. What makes this one different is how normal everything sounds at first. 8 months into a relationship, small things piling up. You'll see what I mean. I'm a 26 male software developer. I debug things for a living. I find the broken line, I fix it, I move on. So when I started noticing weird stuff with my girlfriend Mara, 24 female, I did what I always do. I looked for the logical explanation. At first, it was small. She'd finish my sentences. Not in a cute way, in a word-for-word way. I'd open my mouth and she'd already be saying the exact phrase I had loaded up. I told myself we just spent too much time together. Then she started showing up places. I'd decide on my lunch break to hit this ramen spot across town. Never been, never mentioned it. And she'd already be sitting there when I walked in. I had a feeling you'd come here, she said. I laughed it off, but it kept happening. I couldn't name a single time she was wrong about anything. Then, 3 weeks ago, I was lying in bed next to her. 2 in the morning. She was asleep. And I was doing what you do when things aren't working, writing the breakup speech in my head. Silently. Not even mouthing the words, just thinking. Mara, I think we need to talk. This isn't working for me anymore. I care about you, but I need space. She rolled over, eyes still closed, and she whispered every single word back to me, in order. Then she added, "Please don't." I didn't move. I didn't breathe. She fell back asleep like nothing happened. I lay there until the sun came up. And that right there is the moment this story locks its hooks in. OP didn't scream, didn't shake her awake. He just lay there, perfectly still, staring at the ceiling until sunrise, trying to debug something that doesn't come with a stack trace. And trust me, that restraint is exactly what makes everything after this so much harder to sit with. After what happened that night in bed, OP does not sleep. He lies there until morning, cycling through every rational explanation he can find. But instead of packing a bag or calling a friend, he does what any software developer would do. He starts running controlled experiments. I told myself it was sleep talking. Maybe I mumbled the words first and she just repeated them back. I spent 3 days convincing myself of that. Then I started testing her. Tuesday I decide, just in my head, no phone, no words out loud, that I want pepperoni pizza. I sit there. 30 seconds later, she walks out of the bedroom, already pulling up Domino's on her phone. Pepperoni, my usual order. I didn't say a thing. Wednesday, I'm thinking about a deep sea documentary my coworker mentioned. Before I even pick up the remote, she has it queued on the TV. Thursday, I think about calling my mom. Haven't talked to her in weeks. I'm just sitting there thinking about it. My phone rings. It's my mom. She says my girlfriend texted her and told her she should give me a call. I never gave her my mom's number. Here's what is eating me alive. She has never been unkind to me. Not once. Never raised her voice. Never forgotten anything. Never been wrong about a single thing. She is the perfect girlfriend, and that is exactly what terrifies me. You can't argue with someone who never makes a mistake. You can't be afraid of someone who has never once hurt you. But I am afraid. So I bought a small camera off Amazon, waited until she got in the shower, hid it inside the old speaker on our bookshelf, the one we never use. Took me 90 seconds. She comes out toweling off her hair, walks through the living room, and her eyes flick to the bookshelf for half a second, right at the speaker. Then she looks at me and smiles. Doesn't say a word about it, just smiles. 3 for 3. And that is the part of this post that hit me the hardest. Not the experiments, not the results. It's the fact that he cannot point to a single thing she has done wrong. That is the real horror of this situation, and OP knows it. And that last detail he drops about the camera, it tells you everything about the power dynamic here. She is not hiding. She is not even pretending not to know. She just lets him do it and smiles. What OP finds when he finally sits down to review those recordings over the next few days is where this whole story takes a turn that nobody in the comments saw coming. But we will get to that. So OP has this hidden camera running, and after a few days he finally sits down to review the footage. He's expecting to catch her red-handed. What he gets instead is something he can't file away so easily. I spent 2 nights scrubbing through recordings after she fell asleep. I was looking for something obvious, her unlocking my phone, flipping through my journal, maybe reading my texts. Something that would explain all of it and let me breathe again. But there was nothing like that. What I found was worse because it looked almost normal. Almost. She moves through the apartment like she's already rehearsed the day. She never checks her phone. She never pauses in a doorway wondering why she walked in. She never looks uncertain about anything. Every motion is smooth, every step deliberate, like someone running through a scene they've already memorized. Then I caught it. I was reviewing a conversation we had Tuesday night about dinner. I could see myself talking, saying the words I remember saying. But her mouth was moving too. Not in response. Before. A half second before every line I spoke, her lips were forming my exact words. Not her words. Mine. I went back through every recorded conversation. All of them. She does it every single time. I moved to the couch that night. She didn't ask why. Around midnight, she came out with a blanket, draped it over me, and said, "You'll come back to bed on Thursday." It was Monday. The comment section was a war zone on this one. But one reply in particular got under OP's skin in a way none of the others did. I think the scariest part is that she's never actually done anything harmful. She's perfect. That's the trap. You can't leave someone who's done nothing wrong, but you know something is deeply, fundamentally off. That's exactly what's been eating me alive. I keep trying to explain to my friends why I'm scared, and they look at me like I'm ungrateful. She cooks for me. She's gentle. She remembers everything. But there's this moment every night right before I fall asleep where I feel her watching me, and I swear my thoughts go quiet. Not calm quiet, but empty, like something cleared the room out. I've started sleeping with earbuds in, playing white noise just so my head isn't silent around her. That detail about the silence, that's the one that stays with you. And trust me, what he finds in the next batch of footage makes all of this look like a warm-up. So OP went dark for a couple of days after that last post. Then he came back with a new update. I watched all the footage, and I need someone to explain the time codes. I reviewed every recording from the past 5 days, Monday through Friday. Every single day is identical. I leave for work around 8:15. Within 30 seconds of the door closing, she walks to the couch, sits down facing the front door, and stops. I don't mean she relaxes. I mean she stops moving entirely. No phone, no water, no bathroom, nothing. 9 hours of her sitting perfectly still like someone hit pause on a video. I can't even see her chest move. Then, right before my key hits the lock each evening, she blinks once, smiles, and by the time I'm through the door, she's already mid-sentence. "Hey babe, how was your day?" Like she's been up and moving the whole time. But that's not the part I need help with. It's the time codes. Every time she does that blink, the camera's time code jumps backward by exactly 4 seconds. Not approximately 4, exactly 4. 5 days straight. 5 identical backward skips. I checked the firmware, checked the SD card, ran full diagnostics. Nothing is wrong with the hardware. The footage just rewinds by 4 seconds every time she blinks. I don't know what that means, but I feel it somewhere behind my ribs, like the air in this apartment has been wrong for months. And yeah, the comments went somewhere with this one. Bro, the camera timecode jumping backward is the part that's breaking my brain. That's not a glitch. Cameras don't subtract time. I work in CCTV installation, and I need to be honest with you all. I've seen timecode errors from power fluctuations, firmware bugs, overheating. I've never once seen a camera consistently subtract the exact same number of seconds tied to a specific physical event. That's not a malfunction, that's a pattern. And patterns mean something is causing it. The fact that she sits perfectly still for 9 hours and then just reactivates right before you walk in, that's not a person. I don't know what that is, but it's not a person. That last comment is the one that sat with me, because OP isn't describing someone acting suspicious. He's describing something that only turns on when he's there to see it. OP's last post lands at 3 a.m. It's barely a full page, and it reads like someone who knows they're almost out of time. I confronted her tonight. I showed her everything. The footage, the time codes, all 9 hours of her sitting on that couch without moving. She didn't deny it. She didn't flinch. She just looked at me, and for the first time in 8 months, she looked sad. Not angry, not defensive, just this deep, heavy sadness, like someone watching something break that she'd been trying to hold together for as long as she could. She said, "You were always going to ask. I just wanted more time." I asked what she meant by that. She said, "More time with you. More time being this." I'm writing this from the bedroom. The door is locked. She hasn't tried to open it. She hasn't knocked. She hasn't said a single word. But I can hear her on the other side of the door, and her breathing doesn't sound right. It's too steady, too even, like a metronome. She's standing behind me, and I think she's added 3 days later. He's happy now. We're both so happy. That edit was not written by OP. It was written by her, logged into his account. And within the hour, the account was deleted. Everything wiped. Gone. Please tell me you've shown this footage to someone else. Please tell me another human being has seen the time codes. You need a witness outside of whatever this is. That comment was posted before the edit showed up, before everything went quiet. And what gets me about this whole story is that OP was never in danger. Not once. She never hurt him, never threatened him, never raised her voice. She loved him. That's the part that stays with you. There was nothing to fight, no monster to run from, just something wearing the shape of a perfect partner. And OP had the bad luck of noticing the seams. What would you have done? If someone loved you that perfectly and you found out why, would you have confronted them? Or would you just let it keep going? That is the last story for today. I want to thank all of you for listening. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one.